Here. All right, good evening. It's 27 February, 8 o'clock. We're going to be doing another webinar. My name is Erik. I already see a number of names that I've seen before, so I'll welcome you guys in just a minute. Just a very brief introduction about myself. You can probably hear by my accent. I'm not Irish. I'm actually Dutch, born and raised in Holland, the Netherlands. And so I've been here in Ireland now for about a year and a half. Been roaming around the world, Caribbean, Latin America, various European countries for almost 25 years. Very happy in Ireland right now. And last year in November, I took over the baton from Vincent, who was doing the webinars. And so basically, I'm going to be doing it from now on every Tuesday, always loaded with lots of good stuff, good data, tools that you use right away in your life. Having said that, I'm going to quickly scroll over and see who's attending tonight. It would be lovely to hear from you. You could pop it in the chat. Let me know why you are here, why you specifically chose this webinar to attend. So right away, let me make a little announcement on my language as well. As you can just hear, sometimes I make a little mistake. Sometimes I'm looking for a word. Obviously, I'm not a native speaker, but bear with me. I hope it's going to be all right. So let me know why you choose this. Why you chose this webinar. Main question is that I would like to do a lot of interaction tonight. The subject that we're going to address is how to get on with others. And I know I want to impart a very specific, very useful tool that you could use in life in order to raise understanding between you and other people. Yeah, so we're going to be talking about your communication skills. We're going to be talking about your relationship skills, your ability to bring about understanding, and those kind of things. Fascinating stuff, but we need to actually have some interchange of ideas and examples. So the first question I want to ask you is, where are you from, and why did you attend this webinar? Okay, first of all, let me have a look who's here. Let's see. All right. So we have Catriona, and I get your comment already from Carrie. As a leader, need to be calm and have patience, and need to build relationships with others to work well together. That's great. Thank you, Catriona. Now we have Dede. I hope I pronounced your name correctly, or Didi. Welcome, Dolores. I think we met before. Fantastic. Good to have you here. Emils, all the way from a foreign country, far away. Happy to see you, man. Margarita Celina Bogdanova. Okay. It is de España, de Latinoamérica. ¿De dónde vienes? Or maybe I'm completely wrong and not Spanish speaking. No clue, but it sounds very Spanish to me. Welcome, Margarita. Michelle Gilmore, good to see you again. Nicole Blair, good to see you again. Spela is here, fantastic. All right. Let me see who else. I'm struggling with my computer because I'm actually borrowing it from somebody else. Victor from Denmark. Okay, you want to be more calm, more confident. Sandra from Ireland. Okay, that's fascinating. I think you were there last week, right, Sandra? And I think I asked you, was it Sandra Jacobs or was it Sandra Jacobs? Because actually in Holland, that would be a very equal name in Dutch. Cool. Okay. Let me see. Good. Okay, guys. Well, that's great. So let's go straight on to it. So first of all, what I want to share with you, there's a whole lot to know about understanding. Understanding's got a lot to do with communication. And so I already have my next question ready for you. And that question is, how do you feel if you do not understand something? That's my first question to all of you. It's very important because we're going to be talking on the subject of understanding. What factors are involved and how can you actually improve understanding in life in general. So I would like to know from you guys, how do you feel if you do not understand something? Okay. All right, Sandra, you're Dutch. Okay, fantastic. Good. Emils. Okay, I feel so confused and don't know what to do. All right, Catriona. Confused, can't communicate, don't know how to respond. All right. Nicola Blair, I'm gay, frustrated. Good. Now, fantastic. Now, okay, so here's the thing, right? I was just asking you this question, like, how do you feel if you do not understand something? So let's say, for example, you're just picking up a book, you start to read, and it's really key that you understand this stuff. But now you don't, right? So you get all that, you get all these things that you just popped in a chat, right? Confused, frustrated, don't know what to do, and so on. Now, likewise, how do you feel if you're trying to get something across to another person, but it clearly shows that the other person doesn't understand you? How do you feel? How do you feel? That's my next question. So you can see, we're doing a lot of questions tonight, yeah? How do you feel if you are actually in front of another person, you're trying to get something across, but that person doesn't get you? How do you feel if the other person doesn't understand you? Yeah, that's my last question for now, and then we're going to go straight into a theory. So if you would be willing to work with me, give me a couple of answers, would be great. Okay, Sandra, I feel like I was not important. Yeah, exactly. Okay, can be frustrated. Can feel that you have not been listened to correctly. Had to do something for that person. Okay, got you. Confused, have doubts, you know, depending on the circumstances, might actually be a little bit embarrassed. Okay, guys, well, those are fantastic answers, and thank you for your participation. I got a bunch more of those questions, all aimed to raise the understanding between us tonight. So, first thing, I got some notes here, so I'm actually looking down from time to time, but understanding is basically composed of three factors. And we're going to have a look at each one of those three. The first one, let me wipe the board. The first one is affinity. So I might be introducing a whole new word here. And sorry for my speed. The guys who've been here before, you know, I'm trying to get I'm trying to cram in a lot of data in a single hour. So you really take something home, and I hope that you can, you know, use this the next day, the same evening. All right, so affinity. I'm going to give you a technical definition and then explain that to you what that is. So first of all, affinity is the consideration, your thought, your idea about distance. Yeah, it's a thought of or an idea about distance. That's the first thing. We're going to cover that more broadly. It is expressed as love, liking, or lack of. So, all right. So what do we mean by that? Well, first of all, let's have a look at the consideration of distance, how that relates to liking something, loving something. And a very, very easy example that everybody could understand this. If you love something, if you love somebody, do you want to have it close to you, or do you want to have it far away from you? That is the concept. So when you love something, let's say you just went to the store, you purchased yourself a piece of garment like a jeans or a blouse or a dress, right? And you feel so happy with that, and you like it so much then you feel like, hey, you know, you're leaving that store with that dress on, you know. You're just putting your clothes in the bag, right? And you're instantly wearing your new dress or your new shirt, your new jeans, whatever. You just want to have it close to you because you like it so much. Likewise, you could be totally in love with a person, right? And you just want to hold hands all the time, and you want to have hugs all the time, and you want to be close all the time. Yeah. So your affinity would be very high. Yeah. The higher your affinity, the more you like something or the more you love something. Now, likewise, the lower your affinity, the less you like something, right? And so now we get into emotional states like, you know, you might actually hate something. Well, if that's the case, you probably want to keep it at a distance. So for example, I was just talking about a piece of garment, right? We probably went all through the same process where, you know, enthusiastically we bought something because it had a discount or whatever, you know, and you bought something and you took it home and you had some second thoughts about it. And ever since, it's just been in your wardrobe and never came out of your wardrobe, right? So your affinity apparently wasn't so high for that. Yeah. For example, me, I like white shirts. I'm just wearing a white shirt every day. I got a bunch of t-shirts. They're all the same. I'm literally wearing a white shirt every day. That's how much I love it. Good. So let me put that in a little sketch. Here's Jane. Here's Bill. They love each other very much. The distance between them is very, very short. The affinity, the degree of love, liking, is very high. Yeah. Let me know if you get that concept. Let me know if you get that concept. If not, just feel free to put it in the chat, and I might elaborate on that a little bit more. Now, let's say the affinity would be very low. So here, Jane, right, and Bill, but they just had a quarrel. They just had a quarrel, right? And they're now distant from each other. Their affinity right now is low because at that very moment, they don't really like each other. So you can see when the affinity goes up, the distance closes in. When the affinity goes down, you get more distance. All right? Okay, good. So now, next question. Have you observed this in your life? Have you observed something that you had a lot of affinity for, or somebody had a lot of affinity for, and just want to have it close to you? And likewise, you dislike something profoundly and just want to keep it at a distance. You didn't want to have anything to do with it. Okay? Let's pop it in the chat just to make sure if you have observed it in your life. Victor says, okay, makes total sense. All right, beautiful. Emil's, all right, you have experienced that? Good. So I suppose you guys can relate to this, right? Now, the interesting part of it is that, of course, when we communicate, right, it goes across a distance, right? So in order to have any communication going on at all, if that's a crazy distance, well, you're not going to shout, right? So even when you're on your cell phone talking to another person, you still have that idea that the affinity is there and that the person is somehow close to you, right? So you can see that consideration of distance, that thought of liking, loving, or not having that at all, it enters into communication. That's the first thing I wanted to show you guys. Cool. All right. So the next factor that has to do with how to get on with others, that is reality. Reality, it has the word real in reality. And basically, what is the reality? Well, with reality, we mean the solid objects. The real things in life. Yeah, so for example, we could agree that this is a marker, right? So it's both real for you and me. We could agree that this is a whiteboard, right? So that will be a reality. And it is expressed as agreement. Reality is expressed as agreement. All right, now you get this funny situation. For example, you take a group of guys together and you take a group of ladies together. All right, you'll find that the guys, they agree on sports cars, they agree on SUVs, right? They agree on soccer. They agree on certain games on a PlayStation. All right, they would agree on women, for example. Now you go over to the ladies, and the conversation is very, very different. The ladies may agree on a lipstick. They may agree on makeup. They may agree on a certain hairstyle. They may agree on garment, on dresses, those kind of things, right? So obviously, guys and gals, we have a lot in common, right? But you can see, like it is as if we have our own agreements to life. Now, let's just make this very simple. Let's say this were a lipstick, right? And, if you're a lady, you could totally talk maybe for half an hour with another lady on lipstick. That'd be a bit hard to do with a guy, right? You might use your lipstick 5 times a day, but of course, a guy would never touch a lipstick. So that would be a bit hard to have as a subject for communication. You see what I mean? So lipstick would be less real to a man, right? So there we have the expression of agreement. Now, right away, what comes in is my next question here. Yeah, just to make sure you're getting this. Have you observed that you have sometimes different realities in your conversations with others? Yeah. So if you have conversations with others, have you observed that you sometimes have different realities? Just pop it in the chat. You have conversations with others. Have you seen that from time to time you had different realities? Let me know. Oh yes. All right. Thank you, Victor. So you've observed that? Okay, anybody else? Okay, Sandra, tons. All right, good. So I hope it's going to be worthwhile for you tonight. And I hope this tool is going to help you. Now, okay, I think everybody can relate to that, right? This is a very, very common question, yeah? You have conversations and you'll find, okay, you don't have the same reality. Now, key question. So what, again, for the chat, what happens when you have different realities? So you're talking to somebody, that person has a completely different reality, and you have a completely different reality. What happens to you? I'd like to have your answer in the chat. I'll give you an example. Let's say you have a political viewpoint. Now you're talking to somebody else who's got a complete different political viewpoint. All right? You're in a conversation, you got two different political viewpoints. What happens? What happens? All right. Victor says, okay, that's an interesting That's a very interesting answer, Victor. The affinity goes down. All right, that's a nice observation. I like that one. Okay, what else do we got, guys? So what happens when you have different realities? You're talking about your lipstick and your friend says, oh, I don't like that color. No, 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 it's not for me. Or I don't know, you talk about sports and somebody else says, well, your club, man, they're really a bunch of losers. Yeah, so different realities. What happens when you're running into different realities? Okay, I'm not going to repeat myself more. It's hard to communicate, so affinity drops. Okay, you don't want to keep talking to them. Okay, Catriona, disagreement, fallout. Okay, brilliant. So, good. Now we got one more factor. Thank you all, guys. That's beautiful. Thank you very much. We got one more factor to cover here, and that is communication itself. Now you will see how these things start to align together and be actually working as a whole, which is affinity, reality, and communication. Good. Communication. I'm just going to abbreviate it as COM. Yeah, COM, communication. What do we mean by communication? It's the interchange of ideas across space. Once again, it sounds quite fancy, sounds quite technical. Well, let's see how that works. So we got Bill here, and we got Joe there. Now here's the distance. Which is related to affinity, as we've seen before. All right, they're pretty close to it, so that their affinity is not too bad. And Bill, he's got a problem because he's got a sick dog. And he's quite devastated by that. Now, obviously, that's the thought. In this case, the idea. It's the thought that's on his mind. It's the thought. Also, for Bill, that sick dog right now is very real because that's the reality. And you're gonna sometimes people say, well, face the reality. Well, the reality here is that he's got a sick dog. Okay, so maybe Joe will ask him, hey, Bill, how you doing? And Bill is not so interested to talk about how he's doing. He's interested in talking about how his dog is. So what is he trying to do with communication? He's trying to get that reality across space. That is the simplicity. Okay, good. So now, let's say Joe is listening very, very carefully, and he totally gets it. He totally gets the idea that his dog is sick. And he makes 100% copy. So he says, my dog is sick. And Joe completely copies that, and he understands Bill's dog is sick. He makes 100% copy of it. All right, now what we get here is basically Joe understands Bill. He understands Bill because he was able to make a perfect carbon copy of what was said to him. Good. Now, what we can see right now is that we have affinity, we have reality, and we have communication. So essentially, there's three factors involved: affinity, reality, communication. Three factors involved that make up the understanding between these two gentlemen. Okay, now let's say Bill is mute. He can't talk. Okay, so there's no reality that he could share. Well, if there wouldn't be any reality, there wouldn't be any communication, right? Joe might linger around for a little bit, but eventually he would go away. So there would be a lot of distance and there would be no affinity. So you can see that without reality, we cannot have communication and we cannot have affinity. Without affinity, there would be a tremendous amount of distance. People wouldn't like each other. Now, it's very hard to have communication and you couldn't exchange reality. Likewise, without communication, without actually opening your mouth and getting something across a distance, the reality there could never take place, right? And again, we would not have people who would stick together, so there wouldn't be any affinity. Okay, so let's have a look. Mathematically, it becomes an interesting thing. Because we get something like a triangle. Right. Let me just quickly consult my notes because I'm all doing it out of the top of my head. Just want to make sure that I'm still on track. Good. So now we can express this as a triangle. We have affinity, reality, communication. A very interesting part of a triangle in mathematics would be, for example, that if you would increase one corner of a triangle, if you would go in that direction, if you make one corner of a triangle bigger, the other corners will actually follow. Let's see how that works. Likewise, if you would decrease one corner of the triangle, the other parts of the triangle would also decrease. Okay, now, so I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to change this whole thing here in a husband and wife type of scenario. So let's say we got Jane. Now we have Jane again. And Jane, she just came from the hairdresser. And she's like super happy. She's super happy with her new haircut. So that is Jane's reality. Yeah, her haircut is super real for her. All right, now, obviously she's very excited and she wants to show her husband. So, there's Bill. Okay, and let's say Bill is just simply reading the newspaper, right? there is, at that moment, you could say there's no real A or C there, because the communication has to start. The whole thing has to, build up from scratch. So Jane comes into the living room. She notices that Bill is reading the newspaper, and she said, "Honey, how'd you like my haircut?" And he looks at her and he says, "Oh my God, baby, you just look gorgeous." Yeah, he's totally in love with the whole picture. It is very real to Bill. Okay, what will happen? Let's say we had a little triangle there of A or C. But all of a sudden, they have an instant agreement. They have instant reality on that haircut. So the reality would tremendously increase, and right away his expression is all about how much he loves it. So there you have affinity in operation, and you could probably see this whole conversation evolving. She said, like, "Yeah, honey, don't you think it's great? There's this new hairdresser in town," and you get this whole communication started. So there was nothing really there, and they're just building this triangle bigger and bigger. So here you get the understanding that is growing. Now, conversely, in order to see what is happening, let's say their understanding is already pretty cool, but we're just going to turn the whole thing around, right? Let's say we start all over from scratch, and she says, "Hey, honey, how'd you like my new haircut?" And he lowers his newspaper, and he looks at her, and he says, "Oh my God, this looks terrible. What did you do?" Okay, so now, actually, Jane didn't really get across what she wanted to get across. Well, the guy is in total disagreement. He is in total disagreement with her haircut. And so now you get the opposite. I hope you see this blue here, right? So we get a sudden collapse of agreement here. And he says, "Oh my God, that looks terrible." Now, what do you think? That statement, does that solicit more communication? Yeah, would that solicit more communication from Jane? Well, probably she's going to be grumpy and then stop the whole conversation altogether, right? So actually, it won't solicit more communication. What would happen is that she would be probably rather disappointed, and her communication would drop. Would she like him that he tells her that she doesn't look good with her new haircut? No, she wouldn't like that. So her affinity would drop. So now what we get is that triangle all of a sudden collapsed. And what we get here is an A or C break. An A or C break is just a sudden break of affinity, a sudden break of reality, or a sudden break of communication. Now let's say, for example, you're in touch with a person on your phone, right? And it's been a lovely conversation. And the person says, "You know what? Let's continue. I'm going to be calling you right back." And you're like, okay, you're, all right, good. We're going to continue this conversation. And you had a very nice understanding. You had a high ARC. And you wait for an hour. And you wait for another hour. And you wait for another hour. But the person never calls you back. Okay, you actually get a break in communication. Do you still like that person? Well, not as much as before, because he kind of like broke the agreement. Yeah? The reality that he was going to call you back, that agreement is broken. So the distance, yeah, your affinity will drop. Good. So let me see. So now, how then do we talk to people? Yeah, how can we use this? You can see that triangle. It can actually expand, but it can also collapse, right? And obviously, what we're trying to do is to raise understanding between yourself and somebody else, right? You want to raise understanding in life. By the way, before I continue, at the end of the evening, I'm going to show you a little booklet, which is that booklet. It's called The Components of Understanding. And it's actually full of examples, pictures, how you can use it. It's great stuff. And actually, back in the days when I was working for a big American company, Caterpillar, selling dump trucks, selling shovels, bulldozers, that kind of stuff, I just used this all the time with my customers. It was just priceless. It was a priceless tool. So actually, you're going to get all the tools, everything you need in order to get relationships up to a higher level. It's all in there. Now, so like I said, how do you talk to people? I'm going to give you another example. Let's say we're going to do a job interview, right? You're going to go out and you're going to go to a job interview. And so let's say you're going to see the executive director. That's the ED. That's the executive director. Let's say your name is Marie. And you're out there. You don't know the guy. You have no idea what to say. So how do you actually start a conversation? You know, how do you get something going that would make both this guy feel comfortable and make you feel comfortable, right? Knowing that you're actually building some ARC, that you're building some mutual understanding. Well, let's say this whole whiteboard here, that's the guy's office, okay? And you look around in the office, and what do you see? He's got a replica model of a boat. And it's just sitting there at some spot, and you'll find out that somewhere in the room he's got a big picture of a boat again. Okay, and another place in the room you find that he is a certified boatsman or captain, whatever. And then, of course, on his desk, he's got this nice picture of himself and his family and his kids. And maybe over here, he's got his diploma. Right? You find all kinds of objects in the room. Well, what does that tell you? Basically, he's actually showing you what's most real to him in his life. He's showing you what he agrees with. He agrees with boats. He agrees with the family. He agrees with this diploma. These things have value to the person. These things are important to the person. Right, okay, so now you come in and you say, well, hello, sir. It's a beautiful weather, isn't it? Well, maybe that's okay, you know, but you had 15 people before you who just said the same thing. So it might even be a little bit trivial, right? You might actually want to take some time and just look around and just find something that you can actually agree with, that you can genuinely agree with. Okay, so you find some kind of a reality. That's your first entrance point. Your first entrance point is reality. and you start to build it from there. You say, gosh, sir, that is a beautiful boat that you have over there. Okay, so now we actually get the feeling you are directly talking to him. You're not talking about the weather. You're not talking about the rain in Ireland. No, you're directly talking to what is real, you know, what is going on in his life. So you actually match his reality. Now, most likely, that would actually result in him being interested in you, right? So the affinity might actually go up as a result. And he would ask you, say, oh, you really? Are you into boats? So he's going to respond to that with communication. Okay, so we actually get a triangle going here. We got a triangle going. And you could say, well, you know, my family is very much into boating. And that's why, you know, I saw that you had that replica there. I also saw that you're certified. Very, very interesting, sir. And so you built a bit more of that reality. And he would enter in with communication. So, well, you know, it's actually a 1970 model schooner, and there were only 300 built of those. You're just going to tell you the whole story. So you're in that framework of having the same reality. You can discuss it together, right? And you're fully in agreement. So what is happening right here? This guy might actually ask you for your credentials. He might actually ask you for your qualifications, for your skills. But hey, you know, it's a given already that he likes you. He likes you because, you know how to talk. You know how to build agreement. Yeah. And that is something that is very, very, very valued in life by people. Let me see, what's the time? Good. I'm going to give you quickly another example. Let's say you're strolling down a library, and out of the corner of your eye, you see a person that really interests you. The person just happens to be sitting on the floor, is reading a book, and you're like, oh my God, that's my dream woman, or that's my dream man. You're like, oh, how do I talk to him or her? Well, you simply look at the reality. Okay, so maybe the person's wearing a jeans, maybe the person's wearing a blazer. You can actually look for the less trivial things. And, you know, I would sometimes go about and, you know, meet a person and say, gosh, I just love your haircut. You know, I think it's absolutely fascinating. And just, you know, because I want to show that appreciation. But let's say you want to have a conversation with a person. That person happens to be reading a book on, for example, electronics. And you go like, okay, was there anything about electronics that I could like? Well, I could be interested in it. So you could say to that person, hey, you just walk by. Do you read a book on electronics? And what happens? The person was just first having his attention or her attention on the book, all of a sudden looks up, makes eye contact to you. It tells you that there is some affinity that is what wasn't there before, that is there now. And you might actually get a conversation going, and the person saying like, oh yeah, as a matter of fact, yeah, I'm studying transistors. And you start to build the whole thing again. Yeah, I hope you get a bit of an idea how that works. The rest of it you'll find all in that booklet here. Now, so key question here. Have you observed, that's my next question to you. Okay, let me see. Very true and real data once you get to know what a firm does. Okay, good. All right, I like your responses, guys. So I have the next question to you. Have you observed that some people seem to have more A or C than others? Yeah, just pop it in the chat. So some people, have you observed that some people seem to have more understanding or ability to understand than other people? Yeah. For example, some people talk very easily. Some people make friends very easily. Some people can easily have somebody else's opinion, right? Even though they don't really agree, but they can have it. Some people are people. They simply like people. Yeah. So have you observed that some people have more ARC than others? Let's say somebody's got this little, right? And somebody else has got this much. Just pop it in the chat. Have you observed that some people seem to have more? Victor says yes. Guys, I've been talking a lot. I'm just gonna have a sip of tea here. Yeah. Have you observed that some people have more ability to understand things and more ARC than others? So ARC equals understanding. Yeah, so my question is here, have you seen that some people seem to have a higher understanding than others? Yeah, you come with your problem to person A and you feel totally understood. And you come with that same problem to person B and you don't feel understood. Yeah, so apparently some people have a way better ability to understand somebody else than somebody else in comparison. Yeah. So I guess you have seen that. Yeah, Richard, I get your question, but that is a very, very different topic. Good. All right, now. So let's do a very real question here. Let's do a very real question here. Do you, because you're all here in the webinar, right? Which is all about how to get on with others. Do you sometimes find it hard to talk to people? Yeah, it's a key thing. Do you sometimes find it hard to talk to people? All right, Emils, yes, all right. Thank you for your honesty. Very good. Anybody else? Do you sometimes find it hard to talk to people? Victor, okay, yes, got you. Richard, yes, okay, thank you. Okay, so that actually means that, communication skills would be something good to develop. Now, there is a reason, there is a specific reason, and it's the last topic I'm going to touch upon tonight. There is a reason why some people seem to have a lot of understanding and some others have less. And we have 10 minutes, so we're going to cram this in. Just if you want to help me out, not sure, it became a little bit quiet on the chat. Let me know, guys, if you're still tracking. Just let me know if you're tracking with this. Because I would really love to see that you actually tracking with this tonight, and you can take it home and use it. Okay. Now, is there any specific question that you have right now where you feel like, okay, no, I'm not really tracking with that? Okay, good. Well, I think we're good then. Now, a lot of you have already seen this little mind drill. I just want to do that quickly with you as a final exercise of tonight. People find that very, very, very spectacular. So we basically want to know, like, how come we have, for example, some difficulties to communicate. Why do we have the difficulties to start communication? Why are we sometimes more withdrawn? Why do we find it difficult to see somebody else's viewpoint? Why do we find it difficult to express our emotion and love for another person? What's holding you back? Yeah. Okay. We're gonna do a very quick drill and then end up for tonight. Maybe we'll just be able to do all of this in the next 10 minutes. So first of all, it's a whole new topic. Yeah. What I want you to do, I want you to imagine that you are in your favorite chair in the living room where you grew up. Yeah. So let's go back to your parents' house. Imagine the living room again. Imagine yourself being in your chair, the chair where you would most often sit. Imagine you're in that chair again, in the living room where you grew up. Yeah. You probably get some pictures by now. Now, what we're going to do very, very quickly is the next thing. From where you're sitting, I want you to point to the telly. Yeah, just reach out with your finger and just point to where the television is. Yeah, you might be sitting here. For example, if I would sit at my place at home, I would point to the left. Okay, the next thing is find the table. From where you're sitting, just point to the table. I would have a table right in front of me. Good. Now, where would the kitchen be? Would the kitchen be in front of you? Would it be behind you? Where's the kitchen? The kitchen, in my case, was behind me. Yeah. Now, so what are we looking at? We're actually looking at a mental image. Okay. So you're looking at pictures. These are pictures of the mind. Yeah. It's called mental because you cannot touch that stuff, but you can experience it. So if you would look back again at the telly, you would say, well, I had this size, I had a black frame, it was sitting on this piece of furniture, the on-off switch was over there. There's a lot of details in that picture. Yeah, that picture happens to be three-dimensional, and your whole mind would look like something like this. A whole bunch of pictures. Okay, good. Now, most likely, you could look at these pictures comfortably. Yeah, it didn't cause any stress. It didn't cause any discomfort. Now, quick question. Have you ever been stressed, or have you ever felt some discomfort when, for example, when you had to give a speech, or when you went for a job interview? Just pop that into the chat quickly. Yeah, so has it ever occurred that you were stressed because you had to do a speech, you had to talk in public, or you had to go to a job interview? Yeah, all right, Sandra, Emils, Victor, good. So thank you for your answers, guys. What does that mean? There's something there, some kind of stress. It controls you, but you don't control it. You can't really shake it. Yeah, something there controls you, and you don't control it back. So what was discovered, and I'm going to show you the book right now. What was discovered, and this book is called Scientology, New Slant on Life. That is a book that is full of tools. And it was discovered that we have a part of the mind that actually stores all the bad memories, all the bad experiences. Right? Now, so just to give you an example, so let's say you have been betrayed. Yeah? You have been betrayed and you don't really, and after that, you couldn't really trust people the way you trusted them before. So your affinity drops. let's say you've been bullied, and you always had to be very, very careful about what you would say. You couldn't talk about this, you couldn't talk about that. Um, every time you opened your mouth, you got a snarl, or you were frowned upon, right? So next time you might think twice before you actually say something. Yeah. So now your communication has dropped. Yeah. And let's say you came from a family and you grew up with the idea that there were a lot of things that you couldn't have. You couldn't have any money. You couldn't have any education. Um, you couldn't have this. You couldn't have that. You couldn't have the other thing. So a lot of objects, yeah, a lot of real things of life, yeah, seem to be out of your possession. It seems that other people can have them, but you can't, right? So now your reality would have dropped. And you see that by all bad experiences, your understanding, your affinity, reality, communication may actually drop. Okay, good. So obviously we want to have a solution. The solution is to improve our communication, the ability to freely talk with anybody on any subject, and the ability to freely be able to approach a person. That is, of course, the ideal scene. Let's imagine you could just do that job interview and you would be completely relaxed in front of the executive director. You feel you could talk about anything. You could freely communicate about everything. Good. So what do you need for that? Is you need to handle some bad experiences, and this book is greatly going to help you with that. Imagine that you're going to school and they're going to educate you in order to become an electrician, a plumber, what have you. So you get all the tools for your job. Well, you never got any tools for your life, right? So you never learned how to handle your ups and downs. You never learned who you could trust. You never learned how you could improve your communication skills. Here's such a book that will give you all these tools in life. And combined with that, of course, you want to have the tools to really go about and improve relationships. So normally this book is 17 euros. And I'm just going to do a little sales pitch with you guys. I hope you don't mind. It's fantastic material. Will really enhance your life. So normally this book is 17 euros. In a second, I'm going to tell you all about what you can find in the book. Tonight we have a special for you. We're throwing in the booklet on how to raise understanding. You basically get both, including free shipping, for 17 euros tonight. Yeah. The link is going to come up. And I'm going to wipe the board and have some tea. I'll allow you guys to just have a dry throat. I'll allow you guys to have a look at the link and see if it is anything for you. It's basically for people who want to improve life and have improvement right now. So have a look. I'll wait for you guys. Okay, let me see. What did you say last thing? Didn't catch up. All right. So, Emils, thank you for your question. Let me try to answer that quickly for you. So, here's a question that I have, and that question pertains to that book, New Slant on Life. Now, Okay, would you like to know why a person becomes unhappy and how you could remedy that? That's an interesting question, right? Would you like to know why a person becomes unhappy and how you could remedy that? You'll find that on page 10 in the book. Now, here's an interesting one. What are a few capabilities and potentials that you have, but which are in a state of forgetfulness? So, what are a few capabilities and potentials that you have which are in a state of forgetfulness? Interesting question, right? You'll find it on page 27. Okay, how can you restore a person's full potential? How can you restore a person's full potential? You'll find it on page 75. Okay, now in total you'll find about 15 different life tools, life hacks in the book. You'll find out how you can become more efficient in life, how you can get more done. You can find out how you can be more organized. You can find out how to really find your goals and purposes in life, how to make the optimum decision in any given circumstance. There's a chapter in there on knowing who you can trust with a very specific tool that comes in very, very handy when you're actually making friends. Yeah, so that is what we have for you tonight. Basically, for the price of 2 hamburger meals, you're going to have some great life hacks that you can start using right away in your own benefit. Good, it's 9 o'clock. I'm still here. I'm actually going to ask Dita, who is sitting right here, to punch in my telephone number. Or actually, maybe you're, hang on, wait a second. No, Dita, we're actually going to do a poll. I'll leave it up to you guys. We're just going to do a poll quickly. Okay, Emils, appreciate spending time with you. All right, we can totally do that, my friend. Beautiful. So I think in the poll, I don't see the poll, but I suppose there is a question there for anybody who would like to, have like a one-on-one chat. Maybe you're running into something, maybe you want to discuss it with somebody, and maybe want to have a one-on-one talk, one-on-one chat. It's nice. We can definitely do that. I'm available, and so we can actually make an appointment between you and me. And we can talk, we can chat, we can email, whatever you would like to do, and whatever you would like to resolve in your life. Cool. So that is for the poll. I'll be here for another, some more time. Just for you to know, the special is valid up till 9:30 tonight. So basically for half an hour. Is there anybody who has any question right now? Let me know. Richard, thank you very much. Okay, my pleasure, Richard. Margarita. Margarita, hey, that's great. Thank you very much for the comment. I'm still very curious where you're from. Maybe you want to share that with me, because your name sounds so Spanish or Latin American. Sylvia's just telling me to see the poll, you have to click on the icon. Margarita, you're from Latvia. Amazing. Okay. Fantastic. I could never have guessed. Okay. I have a couple of Latvian colleagues. Very nice people. Good. Beautiful. Anybody, any questions? Cool. Okay. Well, I guess that is it done for now. I hope you really liked this today. really got something out of it. And I hope to see you again next time, next week, Tuesday, 8 o'clock. We're going to do a whole different topic again. You can find all about that on Eventbrite, on Meetup, and our own website, Discover Your Full Potential. Thank you very much. Lovely to have all you guys. Also, thank you for everybody who is joining in tonight on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram. Hope to see you again, and have a great rest of your evening. Bye.